Okay, we're live. So, yeah, I do find it funny that Piers Morgan kind of reacted that way. It's just like, what do you expect? Like, if you push someone far enough, they will snap one day.
I don't know. I don't know if it's arrogance or if it's naivety, but I think there's a lot of people out there that believe that there is no chance of them ever ending up like Hitler or Stalin.
We lost Cat. Damn
I
it.
think he's having connection issues.
Oh, okay.
I'll send him a link myself in case yours isn't enough. I don't know.
Okay, I hope we didn't say anything to put him off because I actually enjoy talking to him.
You think we made him mad? I don't think we made him mad.
And
What?
Minty from, or I think it's Minty. He responded to a thing I left on one of his videos. I said, Crystal Skull was not that bad.
Minty? Who's Minty?
He
Commenter?
does he does these top like facts you don't know about movies, but oh well. He
Oh.
said, "Congratulations, you won a free PlayStation 5." Either that's him or someone pretending to be him. It's hard to say.
A free PlayStation 5. You think you're getting pranked?
Probably, but anyway, yes, I do find it weird that Piers more because like I'm a firm believer like if you push someone far enough, one day they'll snap. Like I go to Stalin for example. Like this guy was, from what I understand of him, and I should say he's worse than Hitler. Like I will argue Stalin was worse than Hitler, and like and no one. I don't want to find anyone on this, but I will argue that he was worse on the grounds of just he was an evil that people were willing to tolerate.
Yeah.
But and the thing that set him off was well, no, I think he just had a series of events that shaped him into the man he like. If you've ever wondered what, oh, hang on, Cat's
Oh,
back.
here it is.
Oh, hey, damn it, hey, Cat.
Hey, Cat.
Hi again. Like my internet just decided to die at that point for some reason.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I would say Stalin was worse though because actually, no, he and Hitler have some traumas. Both had abusive fathers. I think both were in a messed up environment. The
Both for
difference is
products. Should I say both for products of World War One? Is that accurate?
Hitler was more or less.
Yeah.
The issue with both of them was the fact is everything they done stemmed from this need for recognition because Hitler's downward spiral, for example, started when he didn't get accepted into an art school.
Imagine there's another universe out there where he got accepted into that art school, and we talk about Hitler like he's some genius German painter. And Nathan's like, I'm a big fan of Adolf's work. I mean, like this decent.
I've seen his work. It's not that great.
Oh, some
It's
people
it's
say
it's
it's
it's,
okay.
Like
it's like
I'm
it's
not a big art
very
guy, but yeah,
it's very average work, which explains why he didn't get accepted.
yeah. I like to think if he had been accepted, like don't get me wrong, I still think he's an asshole, but I think if he had been accepted, maybe and the bad kind of asshole, not the good kind of asshole. I think if he had been accepted, maybe he would have improved in art style, but we'll never know.
Damn it, Nathan! If he became an artist and he got accepted into that art school, his problematic feelings about Jews would only be found in his personal journals or some shit. He wouldn't commit genocide.
Okay, if he didn't, someone else probably would. Like, here's the thing: you think getting one bad guy's bad, and you think, oh, if he didn't do that, the world would be a better place. I say no, 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 no to that. Sorry.
I'm joking, man. But
Yes, I can say
imagine if
no.
that
I
was
can
the
say no.
case.
I was just losing my train of thought. I would say no on the grounds of like if one bad guy doesn't do something, there's a
Yeah.
possibility someone worse than him comes along and does something worse. That's just
No,
my
yeah, that is true.
But you know what is wonderful is that the evil Jew George Soros, he's on his deathbed, and Klaus Schwab. You know, it's like the world is healing itself.
yep, yep. But
Who's wait, George Soros? I mean, he's a Jew, right?
yeah, he would. His
Oh,
dad was a sellout. He would sell people out to the Nazis, from what I hear. And if this stream gets taken down because I said that, I don't care. I do not regret a thing.
careful, Nathan. You know, it is 2022. There are cameras everywhere.
I've said worse. Like I'm the same guy who has the normie solutions down somewhere. So yeah, no, I've said worse.
Are you sure the normie solution is worse than what you just said?
No, but if you take it out of context, it sounds bad. Like
Okay.
they could say, "Oh, so you want a final solution to the noise?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I don't want to do that. That'd be a waste of a gas chamber."
Wow.
Like normies are mindless. I just let them kill. I just let them do what they do. I just say, "Leave my stuff alone."
Mm-hmm.
But Stalin, I think he was worse because not only did he get away with it, but I think he was kind of messed up from the beginning. Like his mother wanted him to be a priest. He became an atheist after he went to seminary school. And considering what he did to the Catholic churches after he became the leader, from what I hear, that's kind of ironic. The things that set him off were weird. Like his wife dying made his heart cold. He became paranoid because a czarist spy betrayed him. Like these are the main reasons he is the way he became, as far as I know. What do you think, Kat?
The thing is, for me, is essentially he was the first HR lady. So
Maybe.
so everything we see like with modern day HR people is because of Stalin, because he essentially used it as a way to ensure that he got into power, because he would hire people that supported him and he would fire people that didn't support him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like when he became the general secretary, which he kept to the day he died, by the way. He would fuck with people basically. Like he would decide who would be getting notifications for meetings. He would be sure the people who got to the meetings were pushing his agenda, and they more or less made sure he gained power. So every horrible thing Stalin did afterwards is also on them.
Yep, that's why I say he was basically the start of HR. But the thing is, for me, at the end of the day, when it comes to someone like Stalin and Hitler, is the fact that although both of them were like socialists, they would look at each other and be like, "You are not a true socialist. You have betrayed the socialist dream."
And
I
that's
know.
because, like the Sith, socialism is just destructive in nature. You just see the socialists fighting over their methods of how to make true socialism happen. You have Hitler over here thinking, "Let me get rid of democracy. Let me just make it full on authoritarian. That's how I'll achieve socialism."
Yeah, it's like my comparison would be to like Christianity and Islam. Like both believe in one true God, but they disagree on like how they should be conducting themselves and what they should call him, and like they both worship the same thing. It's just they disagree on how they go about doing things.
Hey, that's why they call religion the politics of old.
Good. Yeah, but you could also compare it to the Sith in a way because I mean, Sith are like the Jedi. They both have an idea of how the Force is. They just practice it differently. The only difference is the Sith are more volatile.
Well, the Jedi are like, we know how balance works. We know how the Force works, and for that very reason, we need to keep the balance there so that the natural state of life and death in the galaxy and all that stuff stays the way it is. The Sith know about that balance too, but they don't give a shit. All they care about is their power. And at the end of the day, they're willing to fuck over the whole universe for their power. That's how selfish they are.
I know, but like you look at Malgus, and it's like his view on the Force, from what I understand, is like he sees conflict as the Force expressing itself. So some Sith have just this weird interpretation of the Force. The Jedi have a more tolerable interpretation, I guess. But yeah, I look at the socialist groups like that, like communists and Nazis. They're both socialists. The only difference is what they call themselves and how they conduct themselves. Both have
Well, socialism is a product of communism.
yeah, and both
This,
send you
this
to
is,
chaos.
Oh, what did you say, Kat?
Yeah, sorry.
no, I was gonna say, when it comes to socialism and communism, there is no inherent difference besides what they call themselves, because the end road is going to be a dictatorship. Like that's the thing. It's like whether it's communism or socialism, the end result is going to be a dictatorship. Even in Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto, there's a passage that says after the revolution has been won, a dictatorship of the proletariat needs to be formed in order to ensure that the revolution did not happen in vain.
Uh,
The one part of Karl Marx's whole thing that still boggles me. I would go back in time and ask the man myself, how do you believe that everyone's just going to drop all this power so that they could equally live in peace and harmony with how selfish and how destructive humans are?
I have two theories to that. Either he was an idealist who had no concept of human nature, or he was an out of touch idiot. One of the two. That's my two running theories.
Well, Karl Marx believed that that's that communism was like science, how innovation would lead to technology in a futuristic world. He probably believed that by the time the communist utopia was about to take place, people would somehow be different. And honestly, I just like, in your whole manifesto, none of it shows anything about humanity changing its nature. So I really don't understand how we're going to get rid of our ambitions, our individuality, all of that to make a utopia where we're like a hive mind. It's like I really don't, I don't know. It's like, and someone told me, Nathan, we were on a space. Someone told me that at the in the last years of his life, he changed his mind and thought and finally admitted that capitalism is good, but there's no source or evidence to that, so I'm not going to say it's 100% fact. It's just, if that's true, then everyone that's been inspired by Marx did it for nothing. It was all
Oh, so basically like the French Revolution, because that's how I look at communists. They are no different than the frogs who committed the French Revolution and all the crimes of the French Revolution, because the French Revolution kind of reminds me of the communists. Like if you weren't enthusiastic enough about the revolution, you were called anti-revolutionary. Kind of
There are
like today.
theories that the French Revolution was influenced by communism, but it's hard to believe them since doesn't the French Revolution predate communism?
It does. It
Oh,
does.
oh, it does, but the thing is, the idea is still there because, for example, if you refer to someone as like so mad, I mean, in French, after the revolution happened, you would be seen as bourgeoisie and you'd be executed.
Exactly. This is why I say the
So,
French
like,
Revolution is like proto-communism, essentially.
absolutely. And then on the point of the fact that Karl Marx changed his mind, this always happens with people, communist figures, because the same thing happened with Mao. When he saw the Chinese people were getting fed up with communism, he decided to change his stance and is like, I believe in capitalism. I am with the capitalists because he saw the writing on the wall.
Well, maybe Cat, maybe Marx did change his mind like now. I don't know. I looked everywhere. I can't find official evidence that shows that his mind was ever changed on the matter, but people are telling me that's the case.
I
So
mean, it's
I
not
take it with a grain
entirely
of salt.
impossible. I'm sorry, I meant to say it's not entirely impossible. I mean, I look at a lot of people who had some really warped ideas. Like, look at Lovecraft, one of my favorite writers to learn about. He
Yeah.
had some of the most asinine opinions on race, but it was usually backed up by something he had heard, so he had a reason for believing it. He eventually changed his mind when science no longer backed it up. So I don't know, maybe
I
Marx.
can give Lovecraft this, Nathan. Him and Dr. Seuss both like felt some regrets about their previous beliefs. So and there's evidence of that, despite the SJW still hating them.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's, I can take that, I can believe it, but
but
with
here's the thing.
Marx,
Here's the
I've
thing.
at least heard from at least a couple people that he changed his mind. I still don't have the evidence, so I can't say that's the case, but maybe it is. If it is, wow, that's amazing. But
Yeah,
it's also a major fuck you to every communist and socialist that was ever inspired by him, because if he's saying capitalism works, then all of this was for nothing, literally.
oh yeah. I was gonna say the thing about Lovecraft though was, from what I hear, like I'm still reading his biography, but or one half of it anyway. I still have to get part two, but anyway, he believed the things he believed. Like this goes back to what we say, like anyone can be bad or have bad opinions. Like Lovecraft, he got that way because, well, one from what I hear was his upbringing. The other thing is what science was saying. Like they apparently science said at the time, if you had mixed breeding of races or interracial breeding, it would cause like mental problems like autism. As someone who has autism, I'm all for preventing it. So I can't really fault him there. But when science no longer validated that belief, he cast aside those beliefs. The other thing was he had friends who had different beliefs than him, and they called him out on his bullshit sometimes. One of these was Robert E. Howard, and I guess this also affected him. where he's like, well, my friend's actually pretty smart. Maybe he's onto something.
Maybe.
So yeah, and it would not surprise me. Like if you do find something that says Marx did change his mind and recant, I would say that's not too surprising. Like as you get older, your mind develops and you change your opinions over time.
Yeah.
Like same with me. I'm pretty
But
sure when I get older, my opinions on gun rights will change.
oh my god.
I will disown you if your
You'll
opinions
oh man,
change.
Cat will disown you, Nathan. You know, that's
Oh no, no, you're
honestly
not understand. When I say my mind will change, it'll probably get worse or better. Like I'll either be like now I'm pro gun rights. I'll probably just get more pro gun right. Like if you take away the right to bear arms, if there's a revolution, I will not stop anyone from guillotining you. Like if you,
honestly, I'm pro sword rights. Like, you know, in this society where everyone's fascinated with guns and bombs, we have basically foregone the tradition of swords, and it pisses me off till this day.
yeah. Although there's one downside to my video about gun rights. There's one thing I fucked up.
What?
I used Waco as an example of the benefits of gun rights. I should have said that's why you should have a gun because you could say the government could decide to do that on a whim. What I should have said was the Battle of Athens is a good example of gun ownership. If you don't know
Battle of Athens?
Athens, Tennessee, if anyone wants to look that up, go look up Count Danko's video on the subject. It's called the Mad Lads Battle of Athens. Basically, the Democrats fucked over a town. It went out of control. And when the soldiers came back from World War II, they fucked some shit up. They shot some people, and the deputies kind of deserved it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But but on the point of like with Marx thinking that it'd be like this utopia for everyone, one thing a lot of people always fail to understand is that there's been studies on this where if you create a utopian society, what happens? So they've done this with I think mice or rats, and what ended up happening because they had lived in this like utopian environment, the rats went insane.
Hey, did you see, Cat? Did you see there was a video that covered that, Cat? And in the comment section, people were like, "It's a good thing we're not like that stupid those stupid rats." And I shit you not, Cat. Oh, well, as I scrolled down that comment section, I saw the 5 stages of grief where humans were like, "It's a good thing we're not like that those fucking rats," and they're like, "Wait a minute." Oh my god. Wow.
Oh, boy.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. It's like, and then as soon as I kept scrolling, they started comparing America to this experiment, and they're like, the more comfortable, the more advancements we've gotten, the more miserable we are. We hate our lives. I'm like, okay, I gotta stop.
Yeah, the thing that drives me nuts is like I remember Yuri Brezhnev brought this point up. Like, you could take a hardened communist to all the horrible things communism has done. Like, you can show them the camps where people were worked to death. You could take them to all the atrocities committed by communism, and they still would not believe. Not till the jackboots are kicking their ass to the ground do they realize they fucked up. Like, they are determined. I actually kind of respect that determination, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, no, fuck these guys. They're idiots.
No, but that's it. I call that female mentality because the thing is, a woman can be getting loving hands from her boyfriend, and all he has to say to her is, "I love you and I'm sorry," and she'll continue to believe that. Communists have the exact same mentality. Like you can show them everything that the communist government is doing, like throughout history and presently, and they won't believe it. That's essentially how a woman works. And this
Yeah.
is also one of the reasons why like communism is very popular amongst women because it plays into the way that they think.
I was gonna say, like, communism to me is like a cult. Like, they destroy the family dynamic. They seem to destroy everything that makes a society work and make people happy. Like, they want you to be dedicated to the party, to the politics, and if you are not dedicated enough, well, then you're fucked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And back on that point of like the human stage, on the how people respond to utopia, like even in the Matrix, in the very first one, Neo is told that there was the first system, and the first system was so perfect that people went mad and they destroyed it. So my thing is this: if there's studies being showcased that oh no, if humans live in a perfect world, that they end up going insane and end up destroying it, why are we continually trying to pursue this utopia when it's been proven to us that, yeah, no, if once we get to utopia, we end up destroying it. And even if we look at like a lot of TV shows and series and novels and etc., every single place with a perfect world ends up getting ruined because someone probably didn't like something. So if every single utopian world ends up getting destroyed, what exactly is our chances of even getting there and that system being maintained? And in order for it to be maintained, you need to control people.
Huh. That's a good point. Yeah, that's kind of the problem with communism is like it demands control like to the most rudimentary level. That's my problem with it. Is like it is a busybody's wet dream.
A busybody's wet dream.
Okay, a busybody always wants to know what you're doing. Communists are the same. They want to know what you're doing every second of every day, and if they don't like it, they're going to try to curtail what you do. And
Here's where I can connect with communism. I love humanity. I believe we're all special and we're all interconnected, and we're all, you know, how should I say, we're all great. And I do look at humanity that way, but only on a spiritual level, only on a, like, meta level. Where I don't connect with communism is where, that connection needs to go so far that your individuality is infringed on, because individuality is bad. You can't make your own choices without, without addressing everyone else. Everyone else needs to know your business. You have to know everyone else's business. It's too much for the individual. And
exactly, it's a busybody's wet dream. Like, am I wrong?
yeah, no, you're not wrong, but it's like, if we live that way, then where's the freedom? Honestly.
Exactly. This is why I don't like the leftists right now because they're going down that route. They say, screw your freedom, screw it all. If I don't like it, you can't have it.
And this is why I say both sides have issues. And
Oh yeah,
honestly,
they do. But it's like which side? It's like a question of which busybody variant do you want? The right wing busybody or the left wing busybody? I'll take the
no,
right wing.
neither.
At least they
I'll
failed.
go. I'll go. I will go with neither, because both sides, in my personal opinion, find excuses to want to kill each other, and it just feels pointless.
Yeah, we need a purge of politics in general, in my opinion.
My thing is this: it's like I'll take a right wing busybody because no one takes a right wing busybody seriously. Because the right wingers will come to you with religion, and most people are like, "Yeah, but you're not perfect when you're telling us about religion." So it's like we're not going to take you seriously. The reason why people take like left wing busybodies seriously is because they play with emotions and reputations. Like, if you're not a good person, you're not going to support women's rights. And so then all the men are there like, we will support women's rights because we're good men who also happen to want pussy.
Wow.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, that is. I know the left side tries to play on morality on a more practical level, because the right side, it plays on morality, but the farther right you go, it gets more into the spiritual that you can't see. With the left, they play on a more practical level, but the issues with both, for me, is that both seem to fully embrace this collective, this collective, this collective belief and responsibility that just completely blocks out everything else, and that, it steps on individuality. It's like both sides. I can't. This collective mindset. It's like, it can be good for when we want to come together and do something that is good for others, but at some point we have to disassemble. We have to go back to our individual lives, and both sides don't want that. They want us to stay connected, and they want us to subject ourselves to an overall collective agenda, and that, it gets tiring.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
find the
no, it
left.
does get tiring.
Oh yeah, you go ahead, Kat.
It is tiring, but I do want to say that there is never a single instance where we should come together as a collective, because this is the thing. We can come together as individuals because we have similar goals, similar values, but when we come together on the premise of like collective, that's when the problem starts, because essentially that's what we done with the wonderful quarantine we had globally. It's because we're like, oh, collectively, we need to all be responsible for each other's health and safety. And that led to a lot of um, very foreseen consequences. Because the thing is, we were more concerned about the collective than the individual. Because the thing is, when you look at the collective, the problem with that is it now becomes like, okay, on average, everyone, if they're at home, it's not going to be a problem. But if you look at the individual, you're going to acknowledge the fact that, you know what, there are people who cannot afford to stay inside their homes. There are children who cannot afford to stay inside their homes because they live with abusive parents of all kinds of varieties. You can't have people staying at home because at the end of the day, they might be suicidal. They might live alone. And so they end up eating themselves. So when you think about the collective, the issue you run into is the fact that if lives are lost, it really doesn't matter so long as the group is kept alive. But when you
Right.
focus on individuals, it's an entirely different thing because at the end of the day, when you examine certain things, for example, when it comes to now, what was it right now? I'm just trying to think of like a decent example. For example, we can look at something like the Red Pill movement when it comes to men. So you have men's rights activists. So their entire thing is they want men's problems to be acknowledged as well. But the thing is, in order to acknowledge that, we need to step away from the collective thinking because when it comes to women's issues, we think on a very collective level. It's like, oh no, the women are the victims and men are the perpetrators because that's how collectives work. Is that you need us versus them. When you, as an individual, that kind of thinking doesn't apply because it will be me and them. It's not an us versus them. It's myself and everyone else. And so that's, for example, is the reason why when you want to speak about men's issues, you find people being very aggressive because you challenging this collective thinking. Because at the end of the day, you'll find women parenting the fact that, oh no, patriarch is evil. But then you'll also find men saying the exact same thing. And it's because of this collective idea that you need to commit to like one overarching idea and stick with it. And any divergence from that idea is seen as problematic.
Well, Kat, there are good sides to a collective. There are good side and okay, some of these examples may seem ridiculous, but say there's an alien invasion and we all come together and we fight the aliens off. Or good example, the Nazis. You know, the whole world came together to take down, well, not the whole world, but a good chunk of the world came together to take down the Nazis. It's like or it's like there are good cases where everyone comes together and does a collective good. My only thing is that individuality should never be you know sacrificed for the collective. It's like, yeah, sure, we came together to do one good thing or two good things or three good things, but that doesn't mean that we should stay a collective forever and never have our own choices and our own thoughts, because then that just leads to tyranny, if you personally ask me.
Oh no, the thing is, the reason why it leads to tyranny is because the collective is based on the idea of safety and security, while the individual exists with the idea of freedom and
Freedom.
risk, because freedom is
Yeah.
risk. And so at the end of the day, the reason why you'll often see the more collectivist a society is, the more authoritarian it becomes. The Japanese are a very unique case. Like they are very collectivist, but at the same time, they are very authoritarian.
Oh crap.
The Japanese are pretty unique, but I think the Japanese have a good balance of collectivity and individuality. No, no, they don't. No, the more I think about it, there's more collectivity with the Japanese than individuality.
I mean,
Yeah,
among
no.
Asian countries, collectivism is kind of the thing. Like, individuality is more of a European thing, from what I understand.
Hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
I mean, you need, honestly, in my opinion, you need a balance between the two. If you stray too far in individuality, that's just plain anarchy. But if you stray too far into collectivity, that's complete tyranny. So
Yep.
it's hard. I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I want Star Trek. I do. I really do. I do want Star Trek. But if we go down this path, we're not getting Star Trek. We're getting the Empire. Honestly, I'm not interested in the Empire.
Uh, yeah. No, you kind of see this collectivization. Like, this is something I learned in high school in anime. It was like, yeah, no, Japan is a very collectivist society. That's probably why they have so many problems now.
Mm.
Like you can't disappoint your family. You have to pay taxes, do all the BS. Well, granted, my knowledge of them is limited, but
I
doesn't
always thought Japan was cool, Nathan, but I watched some YouTube videos where Japanese people told basically said, and some of them still live in Japan, that Japan has a lot of issues and they're not happy about the collectivist mindset and how they can't make their own individual choices even in the current modern day to some degree due to the collectivist mindset. So that's why I had my little thought process a minute ago.
yeah, no, they have issues like there was this one incident where like they've made trains where women go on one train, men go on another. I think you
That's
have
hilarious.
there was this one time, like I think in the '70s was when they finally banned child porn.
Wow. Wait,
Or
they banned child porn?
but well, child porn was tolerated for a while. I forget the exact decade, but it's more recently that they stopped tolerating it.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Don't know
You
why.
know, no, the thing is, how can I say? When it came to the Japanese, they were given their own time to make the progress after like being colonized. Basically, the English were like, "Hey, listen, you know what? We're gonna give you guys all the resources you need, but you'll develop your own culture." So a lot of things that we would have expected to have happened already happened later on in life. One of the main issues of Japanese society that creates a lot of the problems that they have is the fact that people aren't allowed to, how can I say, have risk in their lives and like make mistakes, because anything you do is a reflection on your family, on your community. So people need to live these very um, structured, restraining lives. So, for example, they can't go do drugs. That's why, for example, if you make a joke to a Japanese person who lives in Japan about drugs, they'll get very offended, because that's how bad the anti-drug culture is. There's that even making a joke about it or reading about it is, it's like, oh my god, it's so wrong. And so that's where the problem comes in at the end of the day. Because, for example, when you have young people that perhaps want to now be having promiscuous sex, they can't. Or if they want to be having underage drinking, they can't, because it's like, oh, whatever I do is going to be a reflection on my family. And because Japan has such a strong shame culture, a lot of the things that we see happening is just a consequence of repression. It's the same thing with Americans, for example. So in America, it's like, oh no, you can't drink until you're 21. You can't go to the clubs until you're this age. And basically, what happens when they go overseas, for example, they act like fools because they haven't had a chance to go and make those mistakes and engage in that risky behavior. While if you take the same people of the same age from like Eastern European countries or African countries, you basically see a complete difference where the people know how to conduct themselves. Like obviously, inside like South Africa now, people don't know how to control themselves. But basically in apartheid, it's like people would do the underage drinking and promiscuous sex when they were teenagers and such, and then when they were adults, they knew how to conduct themselves. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, and it's something that Jordan Peterson himself even says, is that you shouldn't interrupt children while they're skateboarding. And basically, what that means is when children are taking risks, you should not stop them. You should have them learn. And that is the reason why, for example, in places like America and China, why you kind of, not China, Japan, where you kind of see this very excessive behavior come up. So in America, it's excessive drinking, the excessive sex, while in Japan, it's the excessive perversion with the fact that the phones, even when you take pictures, you're like the shutter sound, because more often than not, you'd have men taking pictures of women's underwear. That's the reason why they have two separate trains in Japan, is because of the fact of like all of the instances of sexual assault or sexual harassment that happen in Japan. But this is a consequence of the culture itself, because in America, it's like, oh no, we need to keep you guys from doing these things up until you're 21. But at that point, it's like, okay, so you're having these adults now who've never had access to this suddenly have like a, access to a plethora of things, and they're gonna misuse it. It's the same thing in Japan, where it's like, okay, you restrict them so much that they end up now engaging in perverted behavior. And it's the same thing with like the Yakuzas, for example. It's basically because when you repress a society too much, you end up having people engaging in the excesses of certain behaviors that we deem problematic. And so the best way I could say to resolve that is basically to just become a bit more lax. But the issue you run into that is the fact is like, okay, how lax are we talking? Because it's something that's happened, like for example, in the UK and even in South Africa, for example, when it came to disciplining parents became too lax. And so essentially what you have was, instead of now that physical reinforcement that would happen occasionally, now you just have verbal reinforcement, which does nothing at all, because sometimes you need like a very tangible consequence for misbehavior. And that doesn't happen anymore. So now in South Africa, for example, you have school children beating up teachers. I kid you not. School children
What?
beating up teachers. Yeah, no,
Ah,
in
the spirit of Mao continues through the anger of children.
Yeah, so for example, in South Africa, you have school children beating up their teachers, stealing their phones, coming with guns and drugs to school because of a lack of discipline in households, and especially due to the fact that when it comes to discipline and family structure in the household, more often than not, like 80% of black kids in South Africa grow up in fatherless homes. 70% of colored children grow up in fatherless homes. And when it comes to parenting from mothers, you're either going to have like excessive discipline or a lack of it. And either way, it just leads to the same problem, because now you're going to have children that act out because of how physically aggressive their mothers were, or children that act out because they were never disciplined.
Huh. Yeah, I knew South Africa had problems, but God, I didn't. Well, no, I knew it was bad, but that gives it a new dimension.
Oh,
Listen,
well,
we have
we're all cozy in America, not thinking about the rest of the world.
Oh no,
I
Dan, you
would
should
rather.
watch the shit I hear about South Africa. It's like it's depressing sometimes.
Mm. I'm sorry, Kat. What were
But
you trying to say?
no, I was gonna say, the thing is, it's glad that you guys don't worry about the rest of the world, because the rest of the world think shit about you guys. This is my thing. At the end of the day, it's like a country must first focus on themselves before they worry about everywhere else. Like America first needs to get their house in order before they concerned about everyone else's house.
Oh God, you're starting to sound like Malcolm X or Jordan Peterson.
I mean, is that so wrong? Like Malcolm X
No, no,
actually.
I'm not. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, well, he's saying that. I'm thinking back to watching Jordan Peterson and Malcolm X videos because, funny enough, they both say similar things.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Malcolm X didn't have his head up his ass.
Yeah, no,
No,
the
no,
reason I
but
say,
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah,
Kat.
no,
What were you gonna say?
no, the reason why I say you should focus on yourself before you worry about everyone else is because at the end of the day, for example, America would love to talk about human rights abuses the world over. But when human rights abuses happen on American soil, it's like, oh my God, this is not human rights abuses. This is government responding to terrorism. It's like, no, those are parents concerned about what their children being taught in school, and you're now having them placed on an FBI watch list. For what reason exactly?
No, no, Kat. What I mean by that is what really pisses me off about America and our country is that we're always holier art than thou on all these fucking topics, on all these fucking issues, and we're talking about how great we are, and how we want how basically how great we are, and how we need to become even better than we need to become even better than we are, and how if only we shared our ideas with these other areas. But these other areas go through literal life and death, physical harm, the resource and everything. It's like they go through all this shit, and we're over here acting like our point of view is the best point of view. It's so fucking arrogant. I can't take it.
It kind of is. But here's the thing. Here's another thing. Is like let's say we wanted to say help other countries. The problem is, well, like Kat said, we need to get our own shit in order first. But even if we did, there's still a compatibility problem. It's like let's say we wanted to help Africa. Now, Africa or South Africa specifically, they have a different idea of like what is acceptable, what is okay, and how they should be conducting themselves. The problem with them be the compatibility. Like it's kind of like the migrants who came from Syria to Europe.
Mm.
Like the norms are different in those two parts of the world, and you see the cultures clashing in volatile ways. And
Don't worry, Nathan. Very soon, when it's the United World of America, your descendant is going to be talking about how we need to get our own house in order before helping other worlds.
oh god, if I have a
But
descendant,
no,
them to slap them.
No, but the main issue is this. It's like what the problem I see with countries helping other countries is the fact that the aid they give isn't beneficial. So, for example, America, in order for us to like get aid from America for like our electricity infrastructure, we run into the situation whereby we're told, okay, in order for you to be eligible for this loan, you need to shut down a number of your coal power stations. But this is the thing: shutting down the coal power stations exacerbates the current electricity crisis we have already. So it's going to make the problem worse before it gets better. And then the fact is, there's documented evidence about how the ANC never uses the money that they're given for its intended purpose. So essentially, what you have is basically other countries strong arming us into situations where we give them our resources. Because, for example, yes, our coal power stations get shut down, but then you have but then it's like, oh, the US government or the French government is like, yeah, no, in order for you to get this money, shut down your coal power stations that also don't use coal, but then let us take the coal because we're going to use it in an environmentally friendly way. So that's the reason, that's like one of the reasons why I don't like countries helping other countries, because it's never actual aid meant to help the nation, but rather just to pull for their resources in a much more systematic way. Then the other problem you run into is the fact that you're not teaching people skills. Because whenever people are like, oh no, if Elon Musk donated X amount of money, he could have ended world hunger. Failing to understand that the reason why world hunger exists in the first place is because a lot of people do not know how to sustain themselves. There are too many people in the world that do not know how to farm, that do not know how to hunt, that do not know how to build infrastructure. So when you just throw in money at the problem, you're not essentially teaching people the skills they need in order to make sure that the problem is worsened, or at least worsened at worst, or solved at best. You don't have that. That's why when people say, oh no, if you just world hunger, Elon give money, world hunger be solved, it's like, no, people need to know how to farm. And if, for example, they live in a part of the world where there's almost no water, how exactly are you going to make sure that they're going to be able to farm? You're going to need to find ways for them to farm in arid regions of the world. You're not teaching them those skills. You're not getting people to come and build infrastructure there by them and show them how to maintain it or even build it themselves. And that's where the problem comes in at the end of the day with aid in other nations, is that we do not teach skills, and we rather use and it's rather used as an opportunity to pull for resources in a much more systematic way that doesn't result in people saying, "Oh my God, you loot in the nation, you rape in the nation." So like, oh no, you're helping the nation by giving money, but you're taking the resources that they need.
Well, that's actually pretty nefarious, actually. Like, and it's also again depressing because it's like, okay, you want to help, but when you help, it's not the right help. So,
Yeah, no, the thing is, even like a homeless guy in the US, I don't know if he's from California or one of the other blue states, but he basically said the reason why the homeless population keeps on growing is because of the fact that the way homeless people are treated in places like California and stuff like that, it basically it doesn't motivate him to get off their feet. It doesn't motivate him to get their lives in order because they know they're going to be taken care of. Like, for example, in somewhere like Los Angeles, I'm not sure if they managed to pass this legislation yet or not, but they want to pass legislation that basically says hotels need to give up a portion of their rooms to homeless people. So think about it like this: if you're homeless and you don't have a home, but now all of a sudden you're being put up into an hotel room, are you gonna at some point even think to yourself, "Oh no, I need my own place," when you've been given one for free?
uh, yeah, it's kind of actually that kind of reminds me of what I remember happening was with the Albanians in Britain. Like they've been like they're giving these assholes free lodgings and free housing and hotels, and they're looking at the local color like they don't belong there. And I'm like,
Oh
you're
yeah,
not doing.
no. Yeah, no, the thing is, I was watching the Lotus Eaters and I saw, and that's the thing, Albania is not a bad place. Because the thing is, you're not seeing women and children fleeing from Albania. You're seeing young, able-bodied men fleeing from Albania. That is what you're seeing.
Oh, you watched the Lotus Eaters too, huh? Didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, I do watch them also. The one thing that I find annoying about them is like they feel like Tim Pool for me when it comes to some of their takes on situations. So they'll be like, "Oh my God, guys, something good is finally happening in the world," and then 2 minutes later, it's like, "Ah, guys, we are sorry to inform you, things are not getting better; they're actually getting worse." It's like, please pick a side on the fence you want to be on. Do you want to be doom and gloom, or do you want to be reasonable and say, you know what, good things are happening? We should be measured in our response, and we should hope that something like this keeps on happening. Because the thing is, for me, I'd rather take the positive outlook on something like, okay, you know what? For example, in the Netherlands, the protests are still happening in regards to the fact that the government wants to seize land from farmers, and now, and the reason why they even want to do that, it's not because they're concerned about the environment, because they might say that, but there's actual documents freely available online where they have mentioned a detailed plan to take away 3,000 farms from farmers and then have development on that land for illegal immigrants to live there.
Wow, didn't know
Yeah, no,
that.
this is an interesting thing. Majority of the time, especially in European countries nowadays, when they say, "Oh no, we want to take away farms and reduce nitrogen emissions and such because of the environment," it's not because of the environment. What they realizing is that these welfare states that they've built up is unsustainable, and because they've had all of this propaganda about, "Oh no, you shouldn't have children because the world is dying and you don't want to have your children living on a dying planet," people have stopped having children, and because now the tax base is growing smaller and smaller and smaller, they need to put new blood into it. And this is where illegal immigrants come in, because that's why they have like millions upon millions of illegal immigrants coming into countries because they want to supplement the dwindling taxpayer base. And the
Uh,
thing is, with these illegal immigrants coming in, they are going to vote for the people that let them into the country. That's why, for example, you see why Democrats aren't in favor of legal immigration. That's why whenever, because the thing is, when you talk about immigration, Republicans are always saying legal immigration. They're not saying stop it. They say legal immigration. But then people on the left are like, no, no, no. If you don't allow people to cross the borders, you're not for immigration. It's because they want to replace the current taxpayer base with a much more livelier one, because illegal immigrants have lots of children. With lots of children, it means there's going to be more people to come in and be taxpayers, and that are going to vote for one particular party. That is essentially what's happening. It's basically a way of, okay, we ruined our current taxpayer base. We need to replace them, but we also need to now get people in who are going to be subservient to us, because now obviously the people who were voting for you before that are getting fucked over now are probably going to change how they vote. That's what we've seen with the current US elections, is that people that were previously Democrat decided to vote Republican because of the economic state of the country.
yep, and anyone who tells me the great replacement is not happening, I say you are full of shit because it is happening. We know it's happening. They know we know it's happening, and they're lying to our faces about it.
Yeah, no, because this is the one thing, and it's also the same reason why I am of two minds of Elon's Twitter files being out there talking about how the Biden administration worked with Twitter in order to interfere in the US elections. Like, as much as all of that evidence is there and it's basically confirmed what we've all known for so long, the issue we run into is Republicans doing nothing. And then people also doing nothing. Because this is my thing. It's like, okay, why don't the average people on the ground go petition the Supreme Court to investigate this? Like, why must we wait for Republicans to do something? Like, the evidence is freely and readily available there for everyone to make use of it.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm talking to some friends. Yeah, so my stepdad's just taking the dog out real quick. So,
Uh,
yeah, that is interesting though. But I was gonna say when we're talking about loasters. Here's the thing though. I don't always go to them for information. I go to them for entertainment usually, especially if they have Harry on. He's funny.
Oh, yeah, no. The thing is, they're very much entertaining. My only issue that I constantly have with them is that they don't know if they want to be excited, happy, reasonable.
Oh, so basically like women, they don't know what they want.
Yeah, no, because like one of the issues for me personally that I take with the Lotus Eaters is that they're like, oh my god, how can I put it? So the thing is, they know for a fact that when it comes to relationships in the West, that women are terrible to date. But then they will say to men that, oh no, you need to man up.
and you need to make something of yourself. But it's like, even if you make something of yourself, you're still going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to be single or used by women. Like, let's look at Tom Brady. He's like a man's man, very rich, very successful. His wife cheated on him and they had to get divorced. So if someone like Tom Brady can't manage to have a successful relationship, what's the average Joe going to get?
Oh yeah, no, they're fucked. They are fucked. This is why I say men today, we are screwed.
Yeah, no, and it's the same reason why I usually always took issue with Peterson, for example, is because Peterson would know what is the current state of like relationship dynamics in the country and how men are vilified and how women are put up on a pedestal. But then he would say in the same breath, knowing all of this, if the women aren't picking you, there must be something wrong with you. It's not their fault that you're not being selected. But then you know everything that's happening. And the thing is, he finally did admit on Piers Morgan's show and said, you know what? It isn't right what these men go through, being made to feel worthless your entire life. So if I am the king of insults, I'm the king of insults. And it's like, wow, Jordan, you finally said something that made sense with the evidence.
Yeah, I'm waiting to be disappointed. It's kind of like with Elon and Twitter. I'm just like, I'm waiting for this guy to disappoint me. I'm just waiting.
Oh no, the thing is,
Nathan, we're all human beings. At some point, everyone's gonna disappoint you, even yourself.
I do get that, but I'm waiting to see if Musk bungles this somehow. Because a friend of mine did get suspended from Twitter already, and I thought that wouldn't happen.
Right.
Granted, he may have had that comment, but still.
the thing is, I will explain why there's still banning happening on Twitter. It's because the European Union wants to ban Twitter from Europe. They can't do that right now at the moment. It's going to be a lengthy process of passing legislation via the EU Commission, and then the individual countries within Europe would also have to now pass similar legislation in order to fully enforce this throughout the region. This is the reason why, for example, Elon hasn't given Alex Jones his account back, is because the British government, or rather not the British government, the EU Commission has alluded to the fact that if he lets Alex Jones come back on, they are going to ban Twitter from Europe. But the thing is, it's that it's going to take time for that to happen. And the thing is, Elon wants to first, what I assume he's trying to do, is that he's first trying to get like the subscription-based model in the works, and see if he'll be able to sustain a loss from not being able to be active in Europe, for example, or just countries that are part of the EU Commission. That's why bans are still happening.
Okay, that makes a little sense. But yeah, it's kind of like that guy, the mangaka who became a politician in Japan. It's just like, I'm just waiting to see if he fucks it up. Like, part of that cynical part of my mind is just waiting to be disappointed for some reason. Don't know why.
Oh, no. If there's one thing with the Japanese, with the exception of some corporations in Japan, is that they hate white people. They will say to white people, "Go home, white piggo." I love it.
Oh,
So
boy.
my thing, the Japanese don't like white people, and I love it because the thing is they know a lot of.
Can't say I blame them.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, I love it because of the fact that it's going to lead to them disliking Western values being placed on their companies. That's why, for example, a company like Square Enix isn't supported in Japan anymore because they've been prioritizing Western values and a global audience. Because this is one thing what the Japanese do. The moment you turn your back on them, they turn their back on you. This is why, for example, in Japan, Sony PlayStation isn't the number one console in Japan anymore. It's the Xbox.
Oh, okay, good. Like, that's kind of why I like Japan. Is like they are like people continually call them based. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'm like, I do like the fact they're giving the finger to these wokies who are trying to enforce their ideas on them.
Oh yeah, no, and the thing is, even like with Vice, for example, Vice is going to be finding themselves in legal situations.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, no. So basically, what happened is that they were like, "Oh no, we are going to go showcase that Japan has a child pornography problem." But it's like Japan doesn't have a child pornography problem. After they decided to ban child porn, they've been very harsh with dealing with that kind of thing. Like, yes, is there perversion problems in the country? Yeah, but it's like, okay, that's not anything new. They've always had this. We're talking about a country that has a history of coming from a time where women would walk around bare chested and people would wash in public. We are really talking about a place that has that kind of history not being perverted. We're talking about how because in order to please the Christians, artists, instead of drawing like penises, would draw tentacles, and that's why you have hentai tentacles. It's literally just a way to work around censorship. It's the same thing with like lolicon and shotacon. It's literally just ways to work that they had to work around censorship that became a part of the culture.
Okay, yeah, but like I said, I remember hearing about that Vice bullshit because I know a YouTuber I watched called Otaku Daikun. He responded to it.
Oh, really?
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I watched
But
it.
no,
He said I should respond to the video with my own comment. He actually liked it. I said this is just a downside to like manga and anime going mainstream because when things go mainstream, the normies get involved. When the normies get involved, shenaniganery ensues.
but not even that. It's the fact that you have Vice talking about, oh no, Japan has an issue with child pornography, but then they have articles like, I lived with non-offending pedophiles. How you should think differently about pedophiles. I am a pedophile. It's like you have articles like that from Vice, and then you think to yourself, okay, so is this like a situation of the pot calling the kettle black? If it is, please shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Like I always see these piss heads bitching and moaning about like child fans of the playground being in Japan, but I'm like, this is the same side of the aisle who was wanting to tolerate it in America. So yeah, I say screw it.
Yeah, no, and the thing is for me, the other thing that's a problem for me is the fact that when it comes to people taking issue with anime and its depictions and representations of stuff, it's like you do not understand what's going on in anime at the end of the day. Like you don't understand the culture. And so you want to now take issue with what you're seeing. If you don't like it, don't watch it. I just need to go put my phone on charge quickly.
Yeah, like we always have this. Like I think I heard this from like that side. Also, is like if you don't like it, don't buy it. I could say the same thing to them about anime. It's like it's not in your face. You have the option of not watching or reading it. And yeah, it's an asinine. Like we're seeing imperialists who claim to hate imperialism acting like imperialists to Japan, and I don't like it. It's annoying and hypocritical of that. Hey Dan, you still there? Yeah, guess not.
Who's not?
I was asking if you were still there. Our cat.
No, I'm still here, just chilling. I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe I got lost in my thoughts.
Oh yeah, I think Cat's doing something with his phone, so I'm just waiting for him to get. Oh,
Oh wow. He'll be back, I'm sure.
it must have died. Oops.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think about this issue though? Like the whole West trying to dictate how anime should be.
I think it's stupid. It's like you're talking about how much you love culture and all the cultures of the world, and you're complaining about cultural appropriation, yet you want to talk about how anime in your eyes is fucking problematic and how you're going to fix it and put your own Western views into anime. It's like, shut the fuck up. Just translate the anime, dub style. If you want to add a couple liberties for audiences to understand things better, that's fine too. But the minute you want to change a whole culture of entertainment to suit your own socio-political morality, you're basically, you're not just are you ruining the experience for people, but you're also you're also affecting how people see other cultures. And in my opinion, that's a big slap in the face to everything you preached about. This is what I hate about the double standards of, some progressive thinking.
I mean, they're kind of doing that with dubs now, where they tried to change the dialogue. Like they did this when Gamergate was happening. I remember they had this one thing called Prison School, and they tried to insert a Gamergate reference. They did actually,
Oh yeah.
and it was asinine to say the least.
Yeah, yeah. That shit, man. Sorry. That shit, man. It's like, look, it's like I get that some people want to express their opinions and views, like they want the anime world to reflect their own, but it's like, okay, it's like your job is to simply you give us the world and the story and the characters in the best way you possibly can in English. That's your job. So stick to that.
Oh yeah, try telling that to Funimation. They do not like sticking to their job. They like to stick their nose where it doesn't belong.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, Funimation isn't all bad. It's a mixed bag. Like there are
Yes,
times when they go off and they're weird. Times where they go off into weird shit, and there are other times when you get an accurate depiction of what the original one is. And I know this because I watch both versions often with anime.
oh yeah, I prefer dubs, but I'm not opposed to subs if the dub's not available. Like
I love dubs and subs. I'm a dub and sub guy. I have no preference when it comes to those.
yeah, I tend to prefer the original source material though. Like if there's a manga version of it, I will read that just to see what the original story was. Because manga's a bit an anime. Well, anime's a bit like movies. Like it butchers the source material to fit it into the anime sometimes. But yeah, it's like I said, asinine. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's retarded. I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like, do you really want to piss off the Japanese? Do you like? Do you want another Pearl Harbor or something?
I don't think they'll piss off the Japanese. I just think that, when it comes to here in the States, it's like who the hell wants the Westerners to basically transform, a foreign piece of entertainment entirely to their own to their own preference when their job is simply to just introduce that to the people. It's like I don't know, maybe it's just me, but they talk so much about how they love other cultures, yet they want to change the perception of those cultures to their citizens in the name of diversity and inclusion. It's so fucking arrogant. It's so fucking arrogant. It's so fucking hypocritical, and it's really why I don't take these things seriously. It's like I said, I in school, Nathan. There were people that would come over and talk to us about how much they cared for the environment and how much they love the environment and how we need to recycle. And they went over all the stages of recycling and they were talking about all the recycling and all that shit. And then one of these guys that preached so much about recycling, he had me motivated, he had me inspired. I was going to adopt recycling into my mindset and my motive for the rest of my life. I was that dedicated. But this fucking guy just, when he's eating at the lunch table with all of us, he treats the trash and he treats the trash and he treats everything else in the cafeteria the same as the students.
Wow. Yeah, I was
Hell,
just
he had he had like paper bags of snacks on the floor, and he didn't give a shit, and he just walked away. I was like, you know what? Why the fuck should I care about the environment when this motherfucker who was preaching to me about the environment 30 minutes ago doesn't?
yeah. It's like, and here's the thing that really scares me. I like they're trying to fuck with manga. I'm worried about when they fuck with Bond Destiny. I'm just like, who has? It's a bigger question. Who has more of a spine, the Japanese or the French? I want to see who has the bigger spine in the dick measuring
In
contest.
what sense?
Well, we've seen them fuck with manga some, or they're trying to anyway. The Japanese aren't having it. They're pretty mad at them for doing this. The Westerners are,
Oh,
and I'm wondering.
well,
And I'm
I
wondering
don't.
if
I think when it comes to American adaptations, like if America adapts manga or like some French material entirely into their own, the Japanese and the French don't get that offended. But when it comes to changing like the dub, when it comes to changing the dub to completely suit an American preference, I think that can cause some issues.
I'm worried because like Bond Destination puts manga to shame in terms of art style. Like you should
Yeah,
read.
to your opinion, you're biased.
I am biased. I will admit this. I've read some Bond Destination. Their art is fantastic, and I'm just like, you know what? I like manga, but damn it, the French have beat them somehow. The Japanese lost to the French. This is sad. Like I'm like, how do you lose to the French? They are the most pathetic nation in Europe, and that's saying something. Europe's pretty pathetic. Anyway,
What I miss?
we were ranting about how they've been messing with manga, basically.
Oh yeah, no, I caught that. I know I was gone for a bit because I didn't know my internet died, and I was speaking, and I was like, "Am I still on?"
I think you fell out. No, look, Nathan. Bringing up Gamergate or social justice warriors in dub translations is fucking stupid, and that's something I won't get over. But calling rice bowls donuts, that's a pass. I have no issue with that at all, and it's meme worthy.
Yeah, no, I can't let it go on the grounds of like I think if they could do more, they would. Like this is the same industry that throws people under the bus, like someone's Eric Cartman, and they do it without giving it a second thought. And like I'm like these people are monsters as far as I'm concerned, and not for the dubbing. What they did to Vic Mignogna is what pissed me off. But oh well.
Or even we can look at someone like Helena Taylor, even though she lied. The fact is, everyone was supporting her, even despite the fact that she lied. But when the SJWs found out that, oh no, she's saying donate to an anti abortion organization, they were like, she is a disgusting, terrible woman that deserves not to be paid.
Yeah, the funny thing is, around the time I started getting into outrage cult, well, no, around the time I discovered Razor Fist, I remember, I think this was around the time Shield Hero came out, was when you saw these hit pieces on anime, like when Shield Hero came out. People were having a bitch fit over that. And they were calling anime fascist because it says there's an alarming correlation of fascism with the anime. I'm just like, are you high again? This is stupid.
But here's my main issue with the fact that there's always hit pieces on anime. The issue I take with that is the thing is they're not examining every single anime from every single genre. They rather focus on what's popular, pardon me, and they don't examine anything else. Because for me, for example, when they say, oh no, anime is fascist, I'm like, if you looked hard enough, you could find an anime that's pro-communist. If you look hard enough, you can probably find it. I'm certain about that because that's the thing at the end of the day. As much as the Japanese hate communism, when it comes to manga, they're allowed to be as expressive as they want to be. That's why the fact is we have like some really great stuff, and
Yeah.
you have some like really
Hell, hey, Cap, you like you have you ever watched Naruto? Is Naruto your thing? No? Yeah.
I hate Naruto.
You hate
How?
Okay, well, you know what? Fuck both of you as a Naruto fan. No, but I was gonna say, and I don't in the dub or the sub, I don't remember, but I know for the translation of Friends, with the ninja villages and everything, they're like, you have to stand for your comrades. And the hilarious thing is that on YouTube, you have like communist Russian Soviet memes when with Naruto scenes now because they say comrades. It's hilarious.
Oh boy, yeah. And here's the thing: there's actually, have either of you read or seen Saga of Tanya the Evil?
I have seen
I'm not
snippets of
familiar.
it.
Yeah.
That was made by a supposed communist.
Oh,
So it's not like there's not communism in the manga anime industry. Like there probably is some.
no, there's communism in Japan. A Japanese communist literally gave the movie One Piece Red, a bad review because he hates that they're pirates and they're talking about individuality and freedom. It's like it made him angry, and he was talking about how problematic he sounded like an American SJW, and I'm like, oh my god! And this guy's from Japan. What the
No, they
fuck?
exist in Japan. It's just the difference between us and them is the Japanese people are smart enough to ignore these cream puffs.
Yeah, fair
Oh
enough.
yeah, no, that's one thing they definitely do. And if the thing is, if they can't be ignored, you best believe someone's going to assassinate them.
How well here? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because there have been assassinations in Japan. Like there are weird things in Japan. Like I remember there was this cult there. It had their own version of Jesus in a cult. I remember he was in a Mad Lad video. Like, and his cult's still around, and they're pretty easy to spot. All you have to do is talk shit about their dead leader.
Hmm.
Like,
But the thing is, we're talking about the same country that goes to KFC for Christmas like it's a tradition.
they go to what?
Oh, don't you know this? So in Japan, a Christmas tradition is going to go have food at KFC.
I do not know how to respond to that. I have no comment.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, huh?
So yeah, Japan is like I say this. I will say it before, and I will say it again. Japan is a weird place. Like I don't like lollies for the record. I find them kind of annoying. But it's like everything about it is weird. I just roll with the punches. I just roll with it.
I can say this. I love Japan's respect and tenacity for traditional storytelling. I'm not saying that they won't branch off and go crazy because to me, Japan, they're the most fucking creative people on the globe. If you ask me, their creativity levels are insane. The shit they could base a show or movie or book around is crazy. But
Oh yeah.
no matter the creativity, they have the traditional aspects of storytelling. It never goes away. It's there. It's always there in some form. And that's one of the biggest criticisms I have about my country in the West is that I feel like we've completely abandoned traditional storytelling. And I think it's affecting society.
Yeah,
But
here's
that's
one
my
problem
opinion.
with anime. There's one problem with manga though. It has gotten kind of bland in certain respects. But that's
Fair
about
enough.
I,
That is true.
I don't think that it's gotten bland. It's the fact that what's happened is manga has gone mainstream. So most of the stories that we're going to see get that mainstream appeal are going to be the very one and done stories that we've seen multiple times. Like if you've seen one shonen anime, you've probably seen all of them. That's where the problem comes in. I don't think, as much as Razorfist wants to say this, that manga is now it's done, it's finished, it can't reinvent itself. There is good manga. The problem is that you have to actually go look for it. You need to go actually look for the interesting stuff because majority of what you're going to find yourself bombarded with is the very popular stuff, the stuff that they know is going to be a hit without any effort. Because, like, let's look at it for example. You have something like My Hero Academia. There's nothing special about My Hero Academia. It takes the idea of, oh, a school for heroes, X-Men,
Hey,
like,
shut your mouth, okay? They're taking the traditional American superhero and putting it in the culture of Japan. It's amazing.
no,
Sorry,
but
I'm
no, it is
biased.
not.
the thing is,
I'm
but
biased.
the thing is, we had that, and then we also have One Punch Man. And
Oh,
so for me, it's like I look at this and thing is the reason why they took something like My Hero Academia and it became so popular despite the shitty storytelling, Midoriya being
hey!
overly emotional,
All
is the
right,
fact
sorry.
that
I'm just gonna mute myself. I'm too biased.
no, listen, it's fine, it's fine. The thing is at the end of the day, the reason why it's so popular, it's because it came around during like the peak of superhero culture, or rather not
Yeah. Well, My Hero
superhero
Academia
consumerism.
is it's a big deal because in Japan, when it comes to anime, you have Japanese type of heroes. They're not your traditional superheroes, but it's like My Hero Academia said, let's actually pull more from American culture when it comes to superheroes and portray it through a Japanese lens. And I think that's where the popularity comes from. With One Punch Man, it's just straight up we're taking all the we're taking all the tropes of shonen and we're putting it up to 50 and it's supposed to be a comedy. That's the point. But
Oh yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
was gonna
no,
say.
I do get that.
Actually, I'll recant my bland stance. It's more like it seems to me manga, and I disagree with Razor Fist on manga for the record. Like I do still enjoy it, but I do find it kind of not bland, but kind of repetitive and kind of how it does certain things. Like there's usually either a school setting or a fantasy. Now there are other settings where these are the two I see the most, and it kind of annoys me.
Honestly, an anime I would recommend for you, Nathan, is Akame ga Kill.
I think I've watched and read that. I did not like it. I
You
hated the
didn't
fact.
like it? Holy shit.
No, I didn't. It kind of annoyed. Kind of like Arafuta. I used to like it, but then it annoyed me.
Oh, okay. So you used to like it.
Akame ga Kill, I kind of liked. I still kind of like it. I did kind of find it annoying that the protagonist became a dragon and is now stuck in dragon form.
Honestly, one anime that I really need to get back into is Kekai Sensen or Blood Blockade Battlefront because that was fun.
Yeah.
It was. Was it weird? Yes, it was weird, but it was a fun. It was a fun anime, and honestly, I miss it.
Yeah, the ones I like are either on hiatus or the author now has trouble writing. Like D. Gray Man, that's my favorite, one of my two favorite mangas. Unfortunately, the author has carpal tunnel now, so it's hard for her to draw as much. And she's been working on that since I was in middle school.
For me, it's like I don't have any anime I want to watch because when I decide to watch something, I watch it finish, and then I have to wait for the next season, or not wait at all.
I was going to do that with
Continue.
Dirk, the author died.
So I take it that you guys, I take it that you guys don't like Dragon Ball, Naruto, or One Piece, right?
I like Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, yes.
I have not watched any One Piece stuff, not because I don't like it. I just get overwhelmed by the prospect of like 1,000 episodes, and then I think about myself. It's like, would I go on a binge and watch all of this? I'm like, yes, I would. So I want to avoid that happening because I know how I operate. So I don't want to risk it.
Oh, you poor.
They've been doing that.
Yeah.
Like that's another one that's been around since I was in middle school. I'm just like, damn, I feel old.
What, One Piece?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in middle school.
You know, it came out in 1999, right, Nathan?
I'm sorry, what?
It came out in 1999.
The anime or the manga?
I think the manga. No, the anime. The anime came out in 1999.
Oh well, I guess they started showing it in America when I was in middle school because like it was on, I think Toonami.
It was.
Yeah, I was in middle school when they started showing that out. I'm just like, and I look back on that like, fuck, do I feel old?
What, dude? That wasn't. I mean, how long ago? Technically, it has been, I guess, 30 years, right?
No, I was in middle school from 2005 to 2008.
Okay, yeah, that's not too long ago, dude.
I still feel old. I'm almost 30 and I feel old.
Fair enough.
Other thing is, I'd be like, oh, but no, wait. Bat the Kid is younger than all of us.
Yeah, I'm 20 now. I was 19 before Cat. I'm 20 now.
Yeah, I'm usually the oldest one in the chats I'm in. Like I'm usually the oldest one.
Yeah.
What was I going to say now with Dragon Ball Z? I used to be a fan. I stopped being a fan of Dragon Ball Super because for me, Dragon Ball ended with GT. Like, and the author himself was like, yeah, no, this was the end of it.
No, I'm sorry. Just a lot of people say that.
Oh yeah, for me it's Dragon Ball, Dragon Balls. I watched GT and I enjoyed it, but if you told me I could go back and watch it all, I would say I will just watch Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z because I liked those arcs. GT was, I had things I like. I enjoyed Baby and I enjoyed the Super Saiyan 4 aspect, but I would just rather watch Dragon Ball Z again, mostly so I can appreciate Vegeta because I didn't appreciate him as much. If that makes sense.
I know when I play Xenoverse, I'm like, ooh, Vegeta will be my teacher.
Yeah, I haven't played the games in years. Like the last one I played was, I think, Kakarot or something.
Oh, Kakarot was a disappointment for me because my whole thing is, it's like, you know what, we've played the Dragon Ball story over and over again so many times. It's like, can we get something different?
Yeah,
that's the reason why.
I think it was on the PS3 or 2, but beyond that, I don't remember the title.
Oh no, Kakarot is a very recent release. I think it came out like last year or something.
Oh, never mind. Then I'm thinking of the wrong title. But yeah, it was. I remember I played the ones on the PS2, although I could never charge till the second game came out. Like, you know that move where you can charge your key? The first game didn't teach you how to do that. There was no tutorial that showed me how to do that. So I didn't find out to the second Dragon Ball Z game how to do it. I was pissed. I was so pissed.
Trust me, I know that feeling. I'm not sure. Have any of you guys here played Bayonetta by any chance?
I've never played any of the games. I might play it at some point because I like the story to it. It sounds interesting.
I would recommend you stay away from the third one. It is a disappointment.
How big a disappointment are we talking? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big is the disappointment?
Are we talking in terms of story, character assassination, gameplay, art style? Like, we need to be specific here.
Overall.
It's a strong 9. It's a strong 9.
Okay, I thought you were going to say 11 out of 10 or something.
No, the thing is,
strong 9. That's pretty high.
Yeah, no, the thing is, it's a strong 9. The only thing that stops me from giving it a 10 is the fact that, how can I say, it's a Bayonetta game, so I have bias. That's the only thing that stops me from giving it like a full 10 out of 10. But if I wasn't a fan of the franchise as much as I like the character, then I was going to be like, oh, yeah, it's a full out 10 out of 10, huge flop. Because the problem at the end of the day is that it's the same thing that happens routinely with video games. It's when the developer is like, for the global audience, a broader audience, the modern audience. And that's what we heard when it came to the fact that they included like a censorship toggle. So my thing is this: a game aimed at adults, in my opinion, should not have any sensitivity toggles. I am sorry. It is aimed at adults. You as an adult should know the kind of product you're going to be purchasing. If you do not like nudity, if you do not like lewdness, if you do not like graphic gore and whatever else, then do not buy the product. Do not buy it. Because the fact is, if you have a problem with that kind of thing in a franchise especially, it means that you weren't a fan of the first game and you weren't a fan of the second game. And now because the third game caters to your pathetic sensibilities, now you want to jump on the fan wagon. In addition to that, what happened with the inclusion of the censorship toggle mode is the fact that a lot of the game's lewdness got toned down. So for example, in the previous Bayonetta games, you would see Bayonetta get naked as her hair surrounds her because her hair acts as a conduit to summon demons. In Bayonetta 3, majority of the time when the demons get summoned, you still see her fully clothed, even though she's summoning the demons. And let's say maybe after the summon's completed, you'll see like she's naked and her hair's reforming into clothes. And other times it doesn't even happen. So you have that deliberate toning down of the lewdness, of the mature aspect of the game. And then aside from the fact that they lessen the sexuality, it's the gameplay itself. The gameplay feels slower. The combat is now prioritized on summoning like demons to aid you in battle rather than actually being good at the base level combat. And then everything else is just added on top to like give a variety to your playstyle. So for example, Bayonetta makes use of Wicked Weaves, which are like ultimate attacks. At the end of your combos, you have accessories, you have additional weapons, and all of these kind of things add on top of the core combat that you need to get good at. And so in Bayonetta 3, a lot of that's removed in order to prioritize that you summon demons during your combos so you can get that additional damage in because they deal a ton of damage. If you don't summon the demons, you are going to slog through the game because it's prioritized that you summon these demons. And in addition to that, like a lot of the ideas of the combat system, like something like dodge offset, if you're dodging and you keep one of the attack buttons pressed, you continue your combo string as you're dodging. And you can either continue with the same combo string when you injured your dodge, or you can start a new one. It basically allowed for a lot of versatile combat, but that's taken out of the game. So you have a game that had a certain identity when it came to combat that's been removed. And especially the fact that now you have, instead of like mixing and matching weapons to your hands and feet, you can now only have like one set of weapon per slot. So if you're going to have like maybe a microphone as a weapon,
you only can have the microphone as a weapon for that one slot. You can't mix and match. And let's say on the other one, it's your guns. You can't have anything like, you can't have a sword in your hands and then guns on your feet like the previous game. So a lot of the combat identity of the game was toned down. But the worst, the worst two things is the lack of art direction. Because the fact is, like all of the Bayonetta games, they had like solid art direction. I'm not a fan of 2 because for me, it just didn't match that like dark, edgy gothic feel we got with Bayonetta 1. Because for me, it's like you need to keep consistent with the art style of a game, unless like there's narrative shifts. But for me, it's like not the thing. Nothing should be colorful and bright if you go in to go save your friend that's in hell. Like bright colors does not make sense.
I don't know. Hey, Kat, maybe it's to subvert your expectations.
Oh no, my expectations were very much subverted because we were essentially told, oh no, the 2 Bayonettas you played in the previous game, that's not a continuity. These are different Bayonettas because the multiverse.
Oh god.
Oh, I love the multiverse.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping the Bayonetta. Like, I have never played any of the Bayonetta games, but I was kind of hope. Well, no, this is more of a present hope, but it's a shame that the fans of Bayonetta didn't get what like it should have been what Devil May Cry 5 is to its series. It should have been a love letter to fans, I guess. I kind of wish y'all had gotten that.
Oh no, the thing is, if you look at Bayonetta 3, you can see they wanted to make that game Devil May Cry 5. But the problem is at the end of the day, what they done was, although you could play as different characters, each character felt as a fully realized concept. And for example, Dante wasn't nerfed in terms of his moveset and what he could do so that Nero could shine or that V could shine. Dante was fully realized and he was kept the same and he was improved upon. With Bayonetta, that's not the case because one thing, Bayonetta's moveset is nerfed to allow to prioritize Demon Slave, for example, the new mechanic they included where you can summon like the demons onto the battlefield and you can have them fight against the enemies. So moveset got nerfed in order to accommodate that. But then the other issue is that you have Viola, Bayonetta's and Luca's daughter from a whole different dimension that plays completely different to Bayonetta, isn't as fun as Bayonetta, and isn't as competent as her. So what happens at the end of the game is that Bayonetta dies, and Viola becomes the new Bayonetta because Bayonetta now suddenly is a mantle. It's not a name; it's a family name that you can pass on to whoever, which doesn't make sense. And she's going to be the new protagonist of Bayonetta 4. So you basically have what happened with DMC4 where, oh, Nero took over and people were upset. But this is the thing, is that Nero eventually became beloved by fans because he earned his space in Devil May Cry, while Bayonetta didn't. And the thing is, DMC didn't kill Dante and Virgil. They're still very much alive. While you have Bayonetta 3 killing the protagonist and giving the name to the new protagonist. There's just a lot of it that was very poorly handled. And the reason why it was so poorly handled is because of the fact that you have Platinum wanting to cater to the global audience while at the same time jumping on trends of Marvel, because I honestly hate the fact that Marvel made the idea of a multiverse popular because a lot of things just want to copy that, and it's like not everything needs a multiverse.
Oh yeah, well, if you want to get technical, I think the one who really, well, no, actually, it probably is Marvel who made it more popular because I remember, I think it was Michael Moorcock who like kind of brought it more into the mainstream, but then Marvel like really just they took it and put it on acid basically, like they made it more and more popular. But yeah, that it sounds to me like Devil May Cry didn't tear down Dante and Virgil. They didn't need to do that. But it sounds like Bayonetta did do that. That's what it sounds like to me anyway.
Oh no, absolutely. Bayonetta did get toned down in order to accommodate this new progressive looking character. Because my thing is this, like one of the main appeals of Bayonetta is the fact that this is one of the very, very few games where you have a sexy female character. Like one of those games used to be Tomb Raider, but what happened? We got the Tomb Raider reboot that basically ruined Laura's character. Yep. And so for me, if I look at the game now, like if I can think of two games that have like sexy female characters, I would, you know what? Not even two games because Samus doesn't count as a sexy female character because she spends half of the fucking time in a battle suit. But like the one last sexy female video game character I can think of right now is what their own game is Blood Rain. Is Rain from the Blood Rain games. She is the last sexy female video game character I can think of.
Oh yeah, like I remember. This was around the time I think I started noticing you on Twitter. Was you and Melanie Matt kind of came up because she brought up Bloody Ram? Like I miss when characters were like this, where they looked interesting. Can we go back to having interesting looking characters and hot women? I would kill for that.
Yeah, no, like the thing is, it's like I would love for a third sequel to come out for that game because it was meant to be a trilogy, but in the studio that was responsible for the games, they went into bankruptcy.
Damn it.
So that's the reason why we didn't get a third one. But I'm here, like, you know what? I'd rather that franchise not be revived because at the end of the day, unless we get like a Japanese studio taking over for that game, we are going to get a woke hot mess that really isn't gonna be worth it. It's the same thing with people saying, "Oh no, we want the Legacy of Kain games revived. We want it in the modern day and age." I'm like, no, please leave the franchise alone. Let it stay dead.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I was hoping they would, but when you bring up like how things are in the current day, it's like yeah, no. If we do that, they will bastardize our beloved franchises.
Now, my issue is that these days it feels like everything is a reflection of the current day, and I'm not okay with that. It's like I don't mind some things, but when it's everything, it stifles creativity. It's like, how can I imagine these vast, alternate, or other worlds when every single thing in the eyes of a lot of people has to always reflect the current day? It's like, it's hard. I don't know. It gets in the way of creativity. How can I can't buy? I can't. My suspension of disbelief cannot work well when every single bit of entertainment reflects reflects the current day. It's not easy.
Yeah, and plus, it would suck even more if they did that to Legacy of Kain because it has nothing in common with the present day. It's like Elric and Meldebenet meets vampirism and gothic horror. And I'm like, okay, the only way this could work is if you got everyone involved with the original games back, and I'm pretty sure some of them are dead now.
Oh, most of them are dead,
Ah, damn it! Just
and
damn.
the voice actors are like way too old to voice act. And Amy Hennin, uh, she's a writer on Forspoken, and I'm looking at that video game, and the dialogue and the story is like, whew, what happened? So I doubt if she still has her writing chops or not.
Yeah, it could be. Like they say, as you get older, you lose some stuff of how you used to be. So it's possible. That would not surprise me. But yeah, damn it, Amy Hennig, what the hell?
No, but my main thing is, and I this is a theory, because I came across a study that said people with a low IQ cannot understand hypothetical questions. And so I'm thinking perhaps most of society suffer from low IQ and they can't immerse themselves in a show or a piece of media if it doesn't relate somehow to the modern day and age. I think that is legitimately the case because they will be like, oh, but in fantasy, it's a fantasy world, so why can't it reflect the real world? But it's like, it's fiction, it's fake.
Uh, yeah, I would do that just to mess with people. Like, okay, you want me to inject something from modern times? Okay, I'll do that, but I'll do that to fuck with you. I'll put some anti-Albanian comments in the story just for fun.
You must do it.
I already have. I just haven't
Yeah, no,
finished.
but like, we should just have a bell system in place where like we ring the bell when we're done speaking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, like my main grievance at the end of the day, when it comes to the way entertainment is nowadays, is that it's not enjoyable. Like people want to watch something to escape the real world, and the unfortunate thing is this: is that we've been so bombarded with woke shows or woke infiltration into what we enjoy and love that when we
Yeah.
watch a when we watch a show that just even has like an inkling of what we assume to be wokeness, but it's not that's not the case. It's like, it's a natural part of the show. Maybe it's a comedic thing, but because we've been so bombarded.
There needs to be levels of escapism, even in works where you're reflecting the current day in some way, or not the current day, but the world in some way. Even that, even with that, there needs to be some level of escapism, because that's what pulls people in. When you
Well, they
just
don't
get
want you
rid of
out.
all the escapism, when you just say, okay, forget the idea that this is its own world, now it's this world entirely, then that pushes away people.
Yeah, the problem is they're not going to like to go back to when we were talking about communism earlier. There was this guy in Britain, I think I forget his name. He actually said they wanted to take away escapism. They're doing that
Oh
now,
yeah,
so he
no.
got his wish.
Oh yeah, no. I constantly mention him because this guy, he was basically like, when the people were out in public, they were so ready for the revolution, but when they got home, it was as if they left the urge to revolt at the door.
Yeah, do you remember
It's
his
like,
name?
comrades, you cannot escape. You cannot escape the. Damn it! You cannot. You son of a bitch! I ruined it. Never
Oh, yeah.
mind.
Hey, Cat, do you remember this guy's name?
I don't. This is the one thing I can't. I didn't read up on his name. I heard about him in a video, and I read up about him, but I keep on forgetting his name. But that's the thing. It's the same thing with like a female socialist. She also came up with the idea, and I always mention this. She was like, the personal is political. So what she meant by that is that everything political is connected to your personal life. Everything that's personal is connected to politics. That's why, for example, when it comes to the idea of abortion, women feel very strongly about it because they operate on that idea of my personal choices are related to broader politics. So this is the reason why women tend to prefer authoritarianism, because authoritarianism works on the idea that your personal life impacts and influences broader politics. So if you engage in risky behavior, society then needs to correct for that risky behavior in the form of politics. And so now you take this idea from the female socialist of the personal is political, and you take the idea from that British socialist that people leave the need to for the one for the revolution at the door, and now you need to constantly have them in this loop of wanting the revolution. You end up with entertainment that is not meant to entertain you, but rather to radicalize you, to keep you tense and on edge about the state of politics. Because, for example, I can watch a show and it will and there might be a mention of racism somewhere that just doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, why do you want this? It's like the example we have of the fact that with shows dubbed by Funimation, you'll have like dialogue that doesn't make sense. So, for example, with the Dragon Maid thing, I think, for example, it's like, oh, you know what? I decided to change my appearance to fight the patriarchy or something like that. The fact is, we all know what the patriarchy is now in the nowadays. It's a buzzword used by leftists. So the moment we see that mention of the word, we get on edge because it's like, oh, the patriarchy, these evil, evil men. That'll be for the leftists. For us, it's like, oh, the SJWs have ruined another show.
Hmm. Yeah, that is kind of like the annoying thing about them now is just like you cannot have like if you are not engaging in what they want, they will fuck with you. They will fuck with you. They will take away your anything, anything you value. They will take from you.
They'll try. There's one common mistake that these organizations and these movements keep fucking forgetting, and it keeps screwing them over. But for some fucking reason, they never catch on to this. That when you piss off humanity enough, you're done.
Oh
And
yeah,
right
yeah.
now, the current state of modern wokeness, they've burned so many fucking bridges that they can't play this song and dance anymore. If you call someone racist or sexist, people are tired of that shit.
Oh, they didn't
It's
just
it's
burn the
done.
bridge. They set it on fire, watched it burn to the ground, then they pissed on the ashes. That's what they
Yeah,
did.
so now they get to watch all that progress that they love so much. They get to watch all that progress go down the fucking drain because they fucked with the common man, and the common man has had enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
the
because look, for
comics like
example, because I'm not sure if you guys saw, like, look at the two films recently from Disney. It was Lightyear and Strange Worlds. Both of those films underperformed.
Yeah, they did. But
yeah, they have a few things in
honestly,
common from what I hear.
they want to say it's because of homophobia. But if you ask me, it's not because of homophobia. It's because you told shitty stories. These stories are shitty. They're not interesting. There's nothing about them that truly grabs people. Buzz Lightyear isn't Buzz Lightyear in that movie. They changed his personality. They changed his character. That's not Buzz Lightyear. In Strange World, the characters are bland and generic, and the story is not interesting. So it's like, and here's the sad truth that a lot of modern SJWs keep forgetting. When you're more concerned about a message than a story when it comes to a movie, the movie will fail. If you have a message and you have a great story, then the movie will succeed. But if you have a shitty story and a hitting over the head message that you just keep shoving down people's throat, it's going to fail. And they never get this. This is why they keep failing. This is why when they take franchises and they push it to the extreme instead of subtly using it and focusing on good storytelling, why it keeps failing. And they don't get it.
Yeah, it's like the movie Bros. Like it bombed hard from what I hear, and I'm glad it did, considering how the actor's been acting.
Of course it bombed hard. It's like, there are movies about gay main leads that do well.
Yeah,
There
like
are. Or queer
Bullet
or
to
queer
Cowboy.
main leads, or yeah, queer main leads or whatever. But the reasons why those work is because those were interesting stories and they had more to say than, hey, we have a gay main character. When all you want to focus on is the facts that you have a certain type of person in the movie, and that's what represents the movie, it fails. It's like, hey Nathan, let me tell you about Batman 1989. It's about this straight white male and his fight in the city. And I keep talking about a straight white male and a straight white male struggles and a straight white male's this and a straight white male's that. Would you want to watch that movie?
Not really.
I don't know about you, but I don't give a shit about that at all. If you tell me about a man who dresses like a bat and has trauma and goes through tragedy, fuck yeah, I want to watch that movie. But the movie about the straight white male that throws on a bat suit, I don't give a shit about that. These people are fucking stupid. They
This
don't
would be
get
like
that
this would
the
be like let's
overemphasis. They don't get that the overemphasis on race and gender and all this bullshit is what is turning people off.
yeah, and I'm like, you're kind of building like when I look at people who do that, I'm like, you're building resentment against the alphabet community when you do this, as far as I'm concerned. Like, am I
Oh no,
wrong?
absolutely. It is a thing. It is a thing. Like, there's been talks about this. They were like, oh no, acceptance and tolerance for the alphabet community are going down. And the reason for this is because now you're bombarding people. It's the same thing like tolerance for black people are going down because of the bombardment of, oh, race swap here, race swap there. It's like you cannot do the, because that's the thing. People think, the way we think, and even I'm guilty of this, it's that if a certain group is made to be presented as the one responsible for a lot of things, because that's in my thing. So for example, I hate race swaps, and then when I criticize it, it's going to be black people coming out of the woodwork to defend it. So I then now take issue with black people defending it, because for me at the end of the day, it's like, okay, why the hell are you defending this bullshit? And then I'll get the most idiotic reasons under the sun that make me wonder if I am in hell or not.
Hey, Kat, you remember when I sent you that message and I told you how I felt about race and gender swaps when it came to entertainment?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I told you the complexities of it. What I really don't get, I'm someone who doesn't really care much for race or gender in real life, so when it comes to entertainment, it doesn't affect me. What I really don't get is the fucking double standard. If we're okay with just race swapping white characters to other races all out of the blue, I never want to hear about I never want to hear about whitewashing. I never want to hear about it. when a colored based character is changed to be white. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, I don't want it either way. It's like, okay, if a character's in the original material, if he's white, make him white. If he's black, make him black.
Look, if we can have race and gender swaps, Nathan, with established characters that are white, we can have race and gender race and gender swaps with established characters that are black or Asian, whatever. To me, that's fair fucking game. I'm perfectly fine with that. I have no issue with that. I want to break those race and gender barriers. I'm willing to. But if we're gonna do it, we have to go all the way. This double standard bullshit can't exist anymore.
Nope.
The one thing I will say is this: it's that it actually race swapping of like established black characters does happen. So, for example, if you look at like Marvel and DC productions, so for example, in the most recent Batman from the comic, the corrupt police officer is actually a black man, but they made him white in the film. There's another supervillain that appears in the She-Hulk show. In the comic, the guy is a black man, but in the TV series, he's turned to white.
Oh, and in both examples, Kat, there were complaints about whitewashing. No, not sorry. Why did I? No, not white. Not complaints about whitewashing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There were complaints about whitewashing in both examples. There were complaints about whitewashing when Liam Neeson played Ra's al Ghul.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ra's al Ghul's in Arabic, Amy.
Yeah. There were complaints about whitewashing, and that's my fucking issue. It's like I don't have an issue with race or gender swapping on the everyday day. There's two things that get me. One, if you're hiring an actor or actress based on their skill, performance, or reputation, I get it. I have no issue with that at all. And two, if they can truly embody that role, no matter what they look like, that's fine as well. But when you want to overly emphasize their race, and that's your primary reason for hiring them, it's soulless. It's stupid.
Oh no, that's not soulless. If I wanted soulless, I'd go to a ginger convention.
No, it's like, look at the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Kingpin's black. Okay, yeah, he's black. Cool. He's not white, he's black. But his personality is the same. As bad as that movie is story-wise, his personality is the same. And I think Michael Duncan, whatever his name is, he does a great job with the role. So
like, would you say he embodies the character perfectly?
Yeah, he does. He's cold, he's heartless, he's psychopathic. He's the Kingpin straight from the comics. He looks like him. The only thing I'll say is that he's more muscular than the comic book version, but that's the character. He's just black. So if you do that, I have no issue at all.
I know it's just the hypocrisy that drives me nuts because it's like I'm like, okay, you're fine with blackwashing white characters. Like we saw this with The Witcher. They did that and no one batted an eye.
Right.
And it was another redhead, supposedly, but oh well.
You're funny, man.
But it's like, okay, so they're fine with doing it to one group but not another group. That drives me nuts. That makes me go.
It does. It does drive. It's like, Nathan, my thing is simple. If we don't care about swapping the race or gender of characters when it comes to adaptations, then we should never care. It doesn't matter if the character's traditionally African or if the character's traditionally of this nationality. If we could change the race or gender of any character, then it's fair game. This idea that it's only okay for some characters and it's not okay for others is stupid. It's hypocritical.
It only matters to me because I want ginger and Welsh representation. We're not getting that. That drives me nuts.
Well, yeah, we do need more ginger and Walsh representation, but my point is simple. I know a lot of people, I know a lot of fans say that, and I get it. I understand I understand why they feel this way. It's not that they're racist. They want to see the source material on screen. They do. I get it. But my thing is simple. I don't mind race or gender swapping on a couple conditions. One, that the people that are picked worked hard to get that role, and two, that we're not doing it because of how they look. It's like when it comes to race and gender swapping now, they primarily do it because of representation. When they should just be doing it based on performance and skill.
Yeah, I think if you get the character right, you can excuse the race. Like, here's the thing. I can probably let it go if you get the character right. Like, let's say you get, like, Idris Elba. He was cast as Roland of Gilead. Now, Gilead is white, but they cast Idris Elba. Now, admittedly, Idris Elba is a good-looking human being, and everyone wants to bang him, I'm guessing. So maybe they picked him for that reason. But he is an awesome actor. He was awesome in the movie, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So if they give a baller performance, I'm willing to let it go.
No, but it's like, okay, that's great, but the double standard is insane. If we can have a black Batman, then we can have a white cyborg. It's like to me, it's only fair game. This is true equality. This is true equity. That's what this is. And some people say, well, it's offensive, and I'm saying, all right, well, if it's offensive, if we do that, then let the white characters stay white, and let the other characters that aren't white stay those races. If it's like it can only be one of the, we can't play this double standard. We can't.
Yeah. What about you, Ken? What do you think?
I don't believe in the best person's the job of the race kind of thing, because this is my thing. It feels like a cop out, because I'm like, are you so sure that there wasn't a white man that was perfect for the role? Because this is also one thing we need to take into consideration, that Hollywood works on typecasting and who's the hottest flavor of the week kind of thing. That's why, for example, we went through that period where Tom Holland was in everything.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
I'm not
so
even
my
gonna.
thing,
Oh, you were gonna say, Kat?
yeah, so my thing is, when we talk about the best person for the job, it's like we hardly see that. Like, does it happen? Absolutely, but does it happen often enough?
I gave
For the
my
thing,
I gave my
if it
Kingpin
happened,
example. You were the
yeah,
Kingpin
no,
example, right? Okay.
yeah, no, I know that example, but this is
Yeah.
my thing. It doesn't happen often enough where it's like, oh no, it was the best person for the job. That's my thing. It's like if we had more examples, especially recent examples of like, oh, it was the best person for the job, then I'd be more open to it. But there's the examples to justify it are so few and far between that I don't see a way to do it like
Yeah, that's a
justifiably.
pretty good point. That's a
The
good
only
point,
the only
actually.
thing is, Kat, is that for me, man, and you could disagree. I know you do, but it's like for me, it's like the progressives want, race and gender not to matter, and I'm with them all the way. I do want race and gender not to matter, but my disagreement with them is that if we're going down that road, then there can't be any double standards. You can't tell me that Jimmy Olsen can be played by a black actor, but it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you
you
can't
tell
tell me
me
Jimmy
that.
Olsen can be played by a black actor, but a black character like, say, T'Challa needs to stay black all the time. That doesn't work. There can't
Yeah,
be a
like,
double
they're
standard.
always saying this film is too white. I'm like, okay, well, then Black Panther's too black. Like, let's say tomorrow they make a Shaka Zulu movie and I complain it's too black. There's not enough white. How do you think people would react to me? What do you think I would get in response? Probably a punch to the
You're
face.
filthy racist.
Yeah, and it's
No,
not
but
even I
my
would like to
thing
see the movie.
the thing is, for me, if we didn't have the double standard and we played equally across the board, then I'd have no issue with it. But we know that will never be the case. They're never going to be like, oh, you know what, we're going to let this
Oh, so
black
Kat,
character
you
now.
agree? You agree with me that if we get rid of the double standard, then it's fine.
Yeah, no, like listen, it's like I encourage white Vember, where established black characters get turned white in drawings. I support that, because for me, the thing is, for me, at the end of the day, if because that's the thing, it's that they don't want to get rid of race. They they want people as racially focused as possible. That's how the
Yeah,
SJWs are. They don't want people not to see race. They want people to think about race 24/7.
yeah, exactly. That is the problem. They want people racially focused. So when they say they care about diversity and inclusion, like, you don't give a shit about that, any of that bullshit. You don't.
Yeah, there's only one time in history I remember diversity actually like mattering to people. I remember, I think it was either Larry Elder or Thomas Sowell brothers. So there was this movie where they had a black guy in a Western. Hundreds of black people came to see what they did with him. Like, you had this long ass line to see the movie. Like, I
Do you
think
know
that's what
how many scripts, Nathan?
huh?
Do you know how many scripts? And this is currently not the past. Do you know how many scripts that they just completely erased or canceled because of the lack of minority characters in the story? Like it's so fucking stupid. It's like I don't know about you, but for me, stories. When it came to stories, what mattered was the story. That's what mattered. Not this bullshit. I
That
could
and that should be
yeah.
what matters most is the story. Like, and again, if they got the best guy for the job, that would be ideal. But here's the thing: as Kat points out, they typecast. Hollywood has always typecast. They've typecast since the days of Humphrey Bogart.
Oh, they do.
Actually, they've probably been doing it since before that, and I don't know about it. But so
Mm.
there's that to consider. But now they have this new dimension of where they've gotten cheap. They hire people who aren't talented. They are, for lack of better terms, creatively bankrupt and
I
morally
swear,
bankrupt.
acting has gotten worse. I'm not saying acting's bad now. There's lots of cases of good acting, but when I look back to acting from the past, it was way fucking more believable than current movies.
I know, like, can you see Humphrey Bogart doing well today? Like a white guy who actually knows how to act for once, like, and compare. Like, look at the actresses of like the days of black and white. Like, take Lauren Bacall or Veronica Lake, and compare them to say Scarlett Johansson. Now, those two women, they could act they were actually good actresses. Scarlett Johansson, her only redeeming quality is that she has a pair of tits.
Yeah, I'd say Scarlett Johansson is a decent actress. I could believe her in. I've seen her in a lot of stuff. I could believe her when she plays characters. The only thing is she's not amazing. It's like she has the same personality with most roles that she plays. She's one of those types of actors.
Yeah,
I mean
she's like
actresses.
would you say
She's not
bland,
bad.
or she just
No,
plays the
I'm not
same
gonna say
character?
she's a bad actress. She's just the same.
She doesn't have range. Because the fact is, if you look at
Yeah.
something like Ghost
There
in
you
the
go,
Shell,
Chad. I want to give you a hug. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't have range.
yeah, she doesn't have range. So when you see her in a lot of things, it's like, okay, there isn't like much difference. It's the same. It's the same problem that Keanu Reeves has. Keanu Reeves is a believable actor, but he does not have range.
I mean, I agree with you for the most part, Cap. But the Devil's Apprentice, or was it no, the Devil's Advocate? The Devil's Advocate, man, he acted his ass off. I swear.
I still like that
Yeah, no,
scene where
like
like the god is a sadistic prick. He tells you, look but don't touch, touch but don't taste, taste but don't want.
You love that scene, Nathan.
I've only seen it once and I still love it. It's too
Al
funny for me.
Pacino. Al Pacino was the best thing for that movie.
Yeah, that was too funny for me not to laugh. Like Keegan
Yeah.
brought it up once and I remembered the scene. I'm like, holy shit, he's right. That's hilarious. But yeah, Keanu Reeves, like, he's a nice guy. I think that's the problem. He's too nice.
Too nice.
Hey, I'm wary of nice guys. This is why I don't like.
No, you know, he sat on a subway with everyday common folk, Nathan, and he gave his seat to a woman. I think this was on a New York subway.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. No, like Keanu Reeves is the one nice guy I give a pass to. Like he's the one nice guy I would actually trust. Mostly because my creep radar doesn't go on whenever I look at him. But a male feminist, oh no, my creep radar is screaming whenever I look at one of them.
You know how many male feminists were reported to be I can't even say it.
Struggle snugglers.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. On the news, it's so fucking common.
I know, it's almost funny. It's like restart the clock.
I
the clock is broken.
Yep.
Like Kat, you probably know this more than me, but it's like when you hear the word male feminist, it's so contradictory.
I know.
It-
I'm like,
It's not even that. The thing is, for me, it's not even that. The issue for me with male feminists, it's that it contradicts the argument they always present that feminism is for everyone. If feminism was for everyone, why do you need to be like male feminist? It should apply to you as well. You shouldn't be saying, "Oh, I'm
you know what Sneeko? You know what Sneeko? I don't know if you guys know Sneeko, but he says, he basically made a video. He basically, this is old. He said that feminism is, if it's for everyone, it's hypocrisy in itself in the title, because it should be called humanism, not feminism.
no, it should be called egalitarianism.
No, his point is that the fact that it's called feminism in his mind shows that that from the title it's hypocritical. Its purpose is mainly directed towards females, So to him, the idea that feminism is for everyone is hypocritical. It's stupid because
Yeah,
it's
like
called feminism.
saying feminism is for equality is like saying BLM is for racial equality, because no, they're both for the advancement of one particular group over another.
And not
Yeah,
even that. The thing is, feminism as an ideology only existed after the communists didn't have as much favor in America, and then the communists were like, okay, we need something else, and they're like, ooh, let's fight for women's rights. Because that's the thing, it's like everyone will say first wave feminism was the suffragettes, but it's like feminism as an idea or concept didn't exist back then. Feminism as a concept only came about like with second wave feminism with women's rights. And the thing is, it was born out of like the communists failing to gain any traction in America. That's why, for example, if you look at the way feminism operates, it's women are the oppressed, men are the oppressors. It's essentially the bourgeoisie are the oppressors and the proletariat are the oppressed. So that's the reason why like feminism is such a messed up concept because it works on the ideas of communism, and that's why they will say to you, "Oh no, but we care for everyone." But it's like, no, you only focus on on the advancement of the proletariat, women in this instance. And
wow.
for me, when you say something like, "Oh, male feminist," it's for me, it's like, okay, you are then say agreeing with being called a problem, and since now you are acknowledging you are a problem, and you are now identifying yourself as someone who is aware that they are a problem but trying to redeem yourself, I now need to be suspicious of you. Because when you signify yourself as such as an individual for anything, so if you call yourself a white ally or a gay ally, I need to take skepticism polls with you. Like I need to take like a whole bottle of skepticism polls because when I regard you, the issue for me is like, okay, why do you need to identify yourself in such a manner? Why do you need to signal to us that you are not part of the problem?
It's
You
degrading.
need to not even that it's degrading. It's the fact that you are now like, oh, I am better than everyone else because I have acknowledged now that I am a problem and I'm trying to redeem myself. But in the
Yeah,
process of
but
you
they're
redeeming,
alienating. They're alienating them. It's like we're talking about how old people matter, Cat, and like these people that call themselves white allies or gay allies or whatever. It's like they're alienating their own, I guess, group in that sense. It
Oh,
just feels so degrading.
yeah, there's a joke
oh
response, which is like, "Oh, you want to be an ally to them? Well, okay, then you're a traitor. You are a more or less a traitor to your group because you are for the advancement of this one group over your own. You're an uncle, well, not an Uncle Tom, but you're an idiot as far as I'm concerned. Like, this is why I look at male feminists with contempt. It's
yeah,
like,
no,
You betrayed the men.
yeah,
but the biggest issue with the thing is, it's like I won't lie. When I was younger, I was like a feminist because it's the most part most gay men start on, and especially if you have lots of sisters and female majority family, you're gonna fall into the trap. But the thing is,
wow.
this is yeah, it's like the only thing I've been consistent on in my life is is being a capitalist. Everything else I've learned, I've picked it up over the years.
Cat, you should start your own movement known as the Geminist, the gay movement for gay people, the Geminist. You need to start your own movement
Oh
like
boy.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
cat starting a movement. That's a scary thought.
Imagine a movement based on everything I think. Like even I don't want that.
You'd probably bring back the Ayn Rand mindset.
I
I'm
mean,
all
no,
for that. I'm all for that. I'm
I
not gonna lie.
probably yeah, no, but the main issue at the end of the day, it's when it comes to this whole thing of like, oh, I'm an ally for this and that. The thing is for me, it's that when you think you are now better than the other people and you are now redeeming yourself, what I've come to notice over time is that the people who participate in performative morality always tend to be the people that have the most to hide in their closets. So, for example, if you look at like antis who are against lolicons and shotacons, more often than not, those people turn out to be pedophiles. It's the same with male feminists. The same male feminists that say treat women with respect, don't abuse women, are the same men who then go cheat on their wives, beat up their wives, rape women, etc.
Yep. It's kind of like actually this is a funny thing. I remember like around the time I started like getting into like the counterculture movement stuff. I remember there was this one guy. He was a big anti-gay guy. He was found having sex with another man in a car, I think near a graveyard. I think I responded that with, well, he was hard at work, I guess. Yeah, I told my mom that. She freaked out. She's like, Nathan, how can you say that? Easy, I said it.
But this is the thing. The people who are always most righteous about something, like this is my thing. Like, am I against child pornography? Yes, absolutely. Am I against the normalization of pedophilia? Yes, absolutely. But you're not going to see me wear this as a badge of fucking honor and see me talking about it every single day and fighting about it every single day, because at some point it gets disingenuous. That's why with a lot of people who say, oh no, I'm a gay ally, they fine with everyone else being gay, but as soon as it's maybe their child that's gay or family member that's gay, then they're like, not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. For some reason, that reminds me of a joke Razorfist once told when he told about the riots these commies had under George Sorrell. Like, the joke was, hands up, don't loot. For some reason, your joke reminded me of that. But yeah, like, actually, it's kind of, oh, no, it wasn't George Sorrell, it was Herb Sorrell. Like, he had these, like, Black Friday events. Like, they called it actually Black Friday, where they would pull people out of their cars, beat the shit out of them. It's like it's like proto Antifa, basically.
Right.
And I think they got away with it.
Oh, they did?
Here's the funny thing. Guess who was paying George Sorrell to do that?
Who?
The commies.
Oh.
Like, they were paying him, and he said, I'm not a card-carrying communist, but I am happy to take lots of their money. Guy was a scumbag till the day he died, and I hope it was painful. I really do, because he was scum.
And we all got a scummy side.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't begrudge someone for wanting to make money. That's what I agree with him on. I was like, okay, if you're gonna do something, you might as well be making money while you do it. But he made it his money by getting people beat to shit. That's kind of where I draw the line.
Yeah, that's a bit fucked up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it got so bad. Humphrey Bogart almost got dragged into it.
But guys, I am going to have to leave yous.
That's fine. I think I'll end it here.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. It was awesome talking to you, Kat.
Yes. Yeah, good talking to you
guys too.
Yeah. All right, see you guys.
Yep.
Enjoy your afternoon.